Parasite, Gu, breeding long vitae path, starting from the love-enamored Gu. By Thousand Lakes True Person. Chapter 21, Deteriorating Law and Order in Misty Cloud City, Rampant Robbing. The Mu family? They actually forced you to marry an old man who's on his deathbed. Even if I am a daughter of a concubine, aren't I still a person? Why should those born of the main lineage be seen as superior, while those born of the branches are seen as lower? The world shouldn't operate this way. Anyone who dares to disrespect my partner, even a foundation establishment family, will pay the price. Everything turns in cycles, don't look down on the young who are poor. Once I become a golden core cultivator, I'll make sure the Mu family and the Lu family pay the price. The Mu family will regret forcing you to get married. Zhou Sui clenched his fist, looking very angry as he made grand promises to Mu Zi. My lord, you are too good to me. With tears in her eyes, Mu Zi looked at Zhou Sui, deeply moved, feeling wonderfully warm on the inside. Although she knew it might be a long time before her lord would become a golden core cultivator, the fact that he had such an intention made her feel satisfied. At this moment, her love for him was skyrocketing. What are you talking about? Isn't it natural for me to treat my partner well? Zhou Sui looked deeply into Mu Zi's eyes. He had no choice. Who could resist when Mu Zi looked so delicate but had such a broad mind? It made sense whatever this beautiful female cultivator did. My lord, love me once more. Mu Zi looked shyly at Zhou Sui. Hearing this, Zhou Sui found it impossible to resist. Any normal man wouldn't have been able to. Not far away, Xia Jinjian, who was hiding in her own room, had a red face. She also noticed the activity in Zhou Sui's bedroom. She didn't know why, but she felt angry. Sister Ji, you actually let that shameless man take a concubine, and it's Sister Mu at that. Isn't that too good for him? It's outrageous. Xia Jinjian gritted her teeth. She thought Zhou Sui was a libertine who had no restraint. If she had known this scoundrel didn't have good intentions from the start, she wouldn't have agreed to live with him at a discounted price. She suspected he planned from the start to kill two birds with one stone. She had no idea that this little scoundrel would actually succeed. He even had women in both of his arms. It's okay. I agreed to this. After all, it's a critical time for me to break through to the foundation establishment realm. I can't keep my husband frustrated, can I? At least it's better to let oneself be at an advantage than others. And Sister Mu doesn't seem to mind, she seems rather pleased. Ji Binjiu smiled slightly. What? Upon hearing this, Xia Jinjian was full of jealousy. Why should I let Sister Mu lead when I could benefit myself? Yet she didn't back down. Sister Ji, I think it's better to be cautious. If you set a precedent, this scoundrel will marry in droves. And if at a later stage, he marries a bunch of other women and turns the house upside down, what then? He is only at Qi cultivation 4th layer now, but once he reaches late Qi cultivation or even the foundation establishment realm, won't he have lots and lots of wives? Indeed, that might be a problem. How about this, Sister Xia, why don't you help me by marrying him? That way he might focus on his family and not stray. Ji Binjiu said with a smile. Me? I refuse. Who would want to marry such a fickle man? Xia Jinjian's pretty face went red, and her heart beat wildly. She'd almost agreed, but instinctively refused. She would die before uttering such shameless words. However, Ji Binjiu understood her sister's thoughts quite clearly. If she really disliked the idea, she would have shown disgust, not shyness. But it was probably because her husband was too charming. Her two sisters were completely infatuated. But this might also be a good thing. After all, their interests were intertwined. If they could become a family, they would naturally become closer. But judging from Sister Xia's expression, she may need some time to accept the idea. Happy times always pass quickly. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. Mu Zi quickly adapted to her status as a concubine and moved into Zhou Sui's room. As for Xia Jinjian, she pretended not to see anything and always stayed in her bedroom to practice cultivation. It seemed like she would be able to advance to Qi cultivation 9th layer in no time. As for Zhou Sui, he of course was also practicing cultivation at home. Although his spiritual root had advanced to the 8th grade, it was still a lower grade spirit root. Despite being better than before, his cultivation progress was still slow. However, thanks to dual cultivation with his two Dao partners, as well as the aid of the spiritual wine, his cultivation progress wasn't too slow. He was making rapid progress towards Qi cultivation 5th layer. In comparison to the average Qi cultivation 4th layer cultivator, this was an incredibly fast progression. Fellow deist Zhou. At this moment, their neighbor Zhang Cheng suddenly came over, his expression tense. I don't know if you know this, but last night, the family of 3 of fellow deist Bai nearby were all murdered. Their home was also completely looted. What? Murdered at home? Who has the guts to commit such a crime inside Misty Cloud City? Upon hearing this news, Zhou Sui was shocked. He had been at home concentrating on his cultivation and knew nothing of what was happening outside. He had never imagined that the security situation could deteriorate to this point. Even at home, there were rogues who would come to commit murder. He knew that fellow deist Bai was a Qi cultivation 6th layer cultivator and his Dao partner was a Qi cultivation 5th layer cultivator. Though they weren't powerful, not many would dare to provoke them. Yet even so, they were killed by thugs. This was outrageous. Before, these thugs only dared to make their move in the wilderness, but now they could homicide even inside the city. Fellow deist Zhou, you might not be aware that recently, the Immortal Mist sect has taken a large number of cultivators deep into the Cloud Mist mountain range. Many cultivators from the security team of Misty Cloud City have also gone. Once they left, there weren't enough people to maintain the security in the city. Hence, the brigand cultivators have started to act recklessly and began to rob and kill the cultivators within the city. Zhang Cheng was very worried. After all, without the security team of the city, the other loose cultivators don't take the rules of Misty Cloud City seriously, which leads to the increasingly precarious security situation within the city. Fellow deist Bai mentioned that when he went out to buy food, he was targeted by some outland cultivators. Who would have thought that he would be robbed that very night? I see. Zhou Sui immediately understood why the security situation in Misty Cloud City was so bad. It was all because a large number of cultivators had left Misty Cloud City to hunt monsters and pave roads deep into the Cloud Mist mountain range. This led to few cultivators left to maintain security in the city. Some outland loose cultivators seeing this situation, naturally began to pluck up the courage to start robbing the cultivators within the city who had no background. Therefore, the city was in a state of high tension. Chapter 22 The request from the neighboring cultivators, full of security. So what are you getting at with these remarks? Zhou Sui naturally knew that his old neighbor didn't make courtesy calls without a reason, and there must be something he needed, hence his visit. Actually, it's like this. I am aware that your cultivation partner is a cultivator of the ninth layer of Qi cultivation, and you even live with 2 women who are at the late Qi cultivation stage. Zhang Cheng shamelessly said, even the most rampant marauding cultivators wouldn't dare to provoke 3 cultivators at the late Qi cultivation stage at the same time. So, the rest of us neighbors have discussed and decided to ask if we could temporarily live next to your house. If there did happen to be a marauding cultivator appearing, we could watch out for each other. He straightforwardly stated his intentions. In fact, he also represented the neighborhood in seeking help from Zhou Sui. After all, the strongest cultivator on this street right now is Ji Binjiu, and the rest of the cultivators are mostly at the midway stage of Qi cultivation. The difference between them and those at the late Qi cultivation stage is immense. Of course, we won't stay for long, at most for a month. By then, when the cultivators who went to the Misty Mountains return, the safety of Misty Cloud City will certainly return to normal. Zhang Cheng said in a hurry. He made it clear that these neighbors wouldn't stay too long, at most a month. Fine, you can stay nearby my house, but I can't guarantee your safety. After thinking it over carefully, Zhou Sui agreed. Because even if he refused, these neighbors would still swarm around, and he couldn't stop them. It would be better for him to agree, and do them a favor. Obviously, these neighbors only wanted to use the prestige of the late-stage Qi cultivators to deter these marauding cultivators. That's wonderful, thank you so much, deist Zhou. Zhang Cheng was overjoyed. His emotions were bittersweet at this moment. He used to think that Zhou Sui, who had married an older woman cultivator, would definitely be used as a furnace by her, and be drained clean. But now, not only is he safe and sound, his cultivation has also advanced by leaps and bounds. He even had to go to Zhou Sui for help himself. The uncertainties in this world couldn't be compared with anything else. If someone had told him a year ago that he would be seeking help from Zhou Sui, a young man, he would not have believed it even if he were beaten to death. Alright, that's it for now, I need to return to my cultivation. Zhou Sui issued a notice of dismissal. Upon hearing Zhou Sui's words, Zhang Cheng quickly departed, and the cultivator neighbors hiding around immediately congregated, asking about the situation. How did it go? Hesdaya ist Zhou. No, Hesdaya ist Zhou agreed. A cultivator couldn't wait to ask. Daya ist Zhou agreed, he will allow us to use his reputation, but he won't guarantee our safety. Zhang Cheng answered. That's more than enough. With all of us Qi cultivation midway stage cultivators banding together, and then adding the menace of late Qi cultivation stage cultivators, any marauding cultivators, no matter how wild, wouldn't dare to provoke us. Upon hearing this, the surrounding cultivators relaxed, greatly relieved. Because sometimes, a reputation is enough to deter many marauding cultivators. After all, these marauding cultivators are not fools. They are all bullies who take advantage of the weak, and if they truly encounter a tough opponent, it's very likely they could be killed in return, leading to their death and their Dao disappearing. Everyone is after immortality, and who would risk their life to kill and rob others? If they fail to kill and instead get killed themselves, that would be too risky. Every marauding cultivator would weigh the pros and cons, and determine if their actions are worth it. We really have to thank Daoist Zhou this time. I've known since childhood that he would be successful when he grew up. Isn't that true? Although his cultivation is average, his eye for women is excellent. Indeed, who could have imagined that a woman cultivator in the late Qi cultivation stage would marry no one but him, and even offer herself? Only goes to show, comparing people can really get one upset. If you're a man like Daoist Zhou, life is worth living. It's said that there are 2 more women at the late Qi cultivation stage living at Daoist Zhou's house. Did he also marry them? Impossible, that's too exaggerated. Even a toad longing for swan meat can't eat that much. Eating 1 swan is already amazing, let alone 3 at a time. That's crazy. Regardless, we have to thank Daoist Zhou. Without him, we might have been in great danger this time. Sigh, who could have expected that the situation in Misty Cloud City would deteriorate to such an extent? The numerous cultivators chattered among themselves, expressing their anxiety about the security situation in Misty Cloud City. Originally, they had been living in Misty Cloud City without facing too much danger. Who could have thought that the Immortal Mist sect would suddenly arrive, throwing the area around the Misty Mountains into chaos? At this moment, Zhou Rui had also returned home. He told Ji Binjiu and the other women about recent events, warning them not to go out casually due to the increase of marauders. Otherwise, they wouldn't know what kind of threats they might run into. Even if you are a late Qi cultivation stage cultivator, it's hard to say whether you can survive if you are attacked by surprise. Especially since the environment in Misty Cloud City is extremely harsh right now, with strangers everywhere. No one knows how many careless cultivators have died at the hands of weaker cultivators, this is already a common occurrence. Rest assured, husband. If these marauding cultivators dare to come here, they will undoubtedly die. I'd like to see if they can withstand my sword. Ji Binjiu said calmly, emitting a faint killing aura. She is an unparalleled sword cultivator, fierce and invincible, rightfully named as unbeatable among her peers. I have prepared a lot of first-grade superior talismans. If these marauding cultivators do come, they will surely suffer heavy losses. Muzi clenched her small fist. As a first-grade superior talisman master, she had already prepared dozens of top-grade talismans, such as the fire symbol, cold ice symbol, and thunder symbol. Each top-grade talisman has the power of a single strike from a late-stage Qi cultivator. If dozens of top-grade talismans were thrown at them, even a cultivator on the ninth layer of Qi cultivation would be pulverized. I have also modified the formation in the house, adding a first-grade defensive formation and an offensive formation. Even if 7 or 8 late-stage Qi cultivators attack, they won't be able to escape. Xia Jinjian said confidently. She is a first-grade superior array master with a high aptitude for formations. Previously, when they were surviving in the wilderness, they had relied on her to set up temporary formations to avoid numerous dangers. Well done. Hearing these words, Zhou Sui immediately felt reassured and safe. They were indeed his cultivation partners, truly brilliant and much stronger than him. He was fortunate to have such strong figures on his side. If he had only relied on himself, in the face of the threat of marauding cultivators, he would probably be living in constant anxiety. He believes that, no matter how arrogant these marauding cultivators are, they would not dare to intrude into his territory. If there are really any marauding cultivators who dare to come, he can simply make an example of them and let them see how formidable his cultivation partners are. At this moment, he quite felt like he was riding on the coattails of others. Chapter 23 Defeating the Three Evils of Miyun, Overwhelming Combat Strength. It was late at night, and the sky was densely covered with dark clouds. In misty Cloud City, on the streets near Zhou Sui's house, 3 black-robed cultivators appeared at this moment. They all were Qi Cultivation 7th layer cultivators, with dreadful murderous intent and lethal aura emanating from them. Apparently, they were notorious robbers known for their rampaging killings, nicknamed the Misty Cloud Trio. The number of loose cultivators killed by them was countless. Through their various ways of murder and robbery, it was unknown how many spirit stones they had obtained. It was precisely because of these abundant spirit stones that their cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds, reaching the Qi Cultivation 7th layer. Originally, the Misty Cloud Trio operated outside and hardly dared to cause trouble within the city. But once a large number of cultivators in Misty Cloud City went out, following the Immortal Mist sect into the Cloud Mist mountain range, and the law enforcement team could not maintain the city's public order, they began to get restless. Undoubtedly, if they were to rob and kill loose cultivators in the city at this time, they could certainly make a fortune. In the previous few nights, they had quietly sneaked into other cultivators' houses to rob them, gaining a lot of booty. This made them greedy for more and want to do it again. Big brother, it seems that the cultivators on this street have gathered near a house as if they knew about our arrival. Oh, what's so special about that house that they are gathering there? It's said that the house is inhabited by 3 female cultivators in the late Qi cultivation stage. One of them is at the 9th layer of Qi cultivation, so they want to rely on the reputation of these 3 female cultivators to deter us. Hee, ridiculous. They must be bluffing. Renowned cultivators of the Qi cultivation 9th layer all reside in the inner city. How could they stay in an outer city house? Isn't this absurd? Indeed, I also think so. It must be the cultivators here trying to scare us by deliberately spreading such ridiculous rumors, but how could we be so easily fooled? We can't really say that. It's better to believe that it exists than to dismiss it as impossible. We must still tread carefully. If there really are 3 cultivators in the late Qi cultivation stage living here, then we would really be in hot water. You're absolutely right. We should probe first, and if indeed there are 3 cultivators of the late Qi cultivation stage living in that house, then we should abandon this street and go on to rob elsewhere. Agreed, we only seek fortunes and there's no need for us to fight to the death with cultivators of the same realm. It's not worth the loss. The 3 black-robed cultivators chattered incessantly. The reason they had survived so long as robbers was their carefulness and their bullying of the weak and fearing the strong. They never fought to the death against big fish. That was why they could survive for such a long time without ever being in trouble. What a waste! Had you run away just now, you could have saved your lives. Just at that moment, a voice echoed faintly in the darkness. What? The Misty Cloud Trio instantly broke into a cold sweat and shivered all over, as they hadn't sensed anyone around them just now. From where did this voice come? They fixed their gaze and immediately saw a figure appearing in the distance. It seemed to be a 17 or 18-year-old young man, with an ordinary appearance that if placed on the street would go unnoticed. Before they could get a clear look at their enemy's face, suddenly an overwhelming illusion technique was silently cast. Boom boom boom. The Misty Cloud Trio were only at the late Qi cultivation stage, they had never encountered such an illusion technique attack, nor did they possess a magic artifact that could resist illusion techniques. In just an instant, they found themselves trapped in an illusion, standing dumbly in place, unable to move. In a life-or-death battle, this was nothing short of a fatal flaw. Thud thud thud. In the next moment, several sword chi attacks tore through the air and instantly pierced their heads, blood was spilt everywhere. This. The Misty Cloud Trio's eyes widened in shock. They only caught a glimpse of darkness before losing consciousness. With just a single blow, they had lost their lives and fell hard to the ground, stirring up a cloud of dust. Blood had spilled all over the place. The person who made the move was none other than Zhou Sui. However, this wasn't Zhou Sui's real body, but a clone condensed out of his clone goo. Originally, this clone was just used to monitor the surroundings for alert purposes, but now, during this trial run, it had instantly killed 3 Qi cultivation 7th layer robbers with a single blow. This left Zhou Sui very surprised. Is this the power of the Dream Soul Goo? It's indeed strong. Zhou Sui was also amazed. Undoubtedly, after he advanced to the Qi cultivation 4th layer, both the true Yuan in his body and his soul power had greatly improved. Especially the soul power, which had the greatest advancement. Combined with the power of the Dream Soul Gu, it was not as simple as 1 plus 1. Even when facing a Qi cultivation 7th layer cultivator, he could instantly kill them. This was the power of soul power. Obviously, for Qi cultivation stage cultivators, soul power was too advanced, very few had come into contact with it. So, they didn't have any defenses. Under such unprepared circumstances, they were instantly killed by Zhou Sui. To resist the power of the soul, one would at least have to reach the foundation establishment realm, for cultivators of this realm possess spiritual sense and thereby can somewhat resist the power of the soul. Alternatively, possessing a magic artifact that can defend against soul attacks would also suffice. The problem was, this kind of artifact was extremely rare and valuable, beyond the reach of ordinary loose cultivators. As I'm now, with the power of the Dream Soul Gu, I can contend against Qi cultivation 7th layer cultivators. Even Qi cultivation 8th layer cultivators could be a match, of course not in a head-on battle. But if it's a surprise attack, I can kill one with every strike. Zhou Sui suddenly felt very satisfied. His choice to select the Dream Soul Gu as his main battle Gu was very correct, because in his previous life he was just an indoor man with weak physical strength, hardly proficient in any close combat. Besides, close combat carried the risk of being killed by the enemy if he was even slightly careless. The risk was too high. It would be better to become a mage with ranged attacks. This way, he could remotely kill opponents while his body remained untouched. This was the most suitable fighting method for him. Putting oneself in danger was just foolish behavior. Therefore, the Dream Soul Gu was his selected Gu for ranged attacks, and its power was indeed extraordinary. His cultivation was only at the Qi cultivation 4th layer, yet he could easily kill a Qi cultivation 7th layer cultivator. He was challenging cultivators above his level. This could certify the strength of the Gu Divine Bowl, far from comparable to these loose cultivators. Let's go. With this thought, clone Zhou Sui immediately took all the storage bags from the Misty Cloud trio. He didn't have time to check what was inside the storage bags and immediately left. Because he heard footsteps coming from afar, it seemed that someone heard the noise here and was coming to check, so he had no interest in staying any longer. With a whoosh, the clone instantly left the place, returning home as if nothing had happened. Chapter 24, The Death of Robber Xi, A Peaceful Life. At this moment, Zhou Sui, who had just finished his dual cultivation, was holding his two beautiful Dao companions in his arms. He had also received a series of messages from his clone, and a look of joy crossed his face. By now, he had learned about his clone's feat of killing the Misty Cloud trio and taking all their treasures. Of course, what made him incredibly overjoyed was that after this battle, he finally understood the true extent of his own strength. I've actually managed to kill 3 Qi cultivation 7th layer cultivators. This means that with my current combat power, I should be able to protect myself in Misty Cloud City. Zhou Sui was thrilled. Previously, when he had just arrived in this world, he was terrified, fearing that the cultivators around him could kill him with a single slap, and there would be nowhere for him to complain if he died. After all, there were no laws in this world, and those with lower cultivation had no rights. But now everything was different. His cultivation had advanced to the Qi cultivation 4th layer, and with the power of the Dream Soul Gu, he could instantly kill Qi cultivation 7th layer cultivators. His combat power was unmatched. News of this would definitely shake Misty Cloud City. If he didn't have any power to protect himself in Misty Cloud City, then there would be no guarantee for his life and property. Only now did he feel a little sense of security. Granted, he had 2 Dao companions to protect him, so there shouldn't be any significant danger. But after all, it was safer if he himself had strength. No, I can't be too arrogant. I'm only at the Qi cultivation 4th layer at the moment, just a small fry. Leaving aside the question of whether I can be invincible during Qi cultivation stage, even if I am, there are foundation establishment cultivators and even golden core masters in this world. If I accidentally offend these cultivators, I might die without even knowing how. Thinking of this, Zhou Sui calmed down. The excitement in his heart had also faded. After all, his current cultivation level was still too low to start being arrogant. Who knows how many arrogant cultivators died just because of a moment's carelessness. Even disciples who are from sects may fall under the sneak attacks of other cultivators. No matter how talented they are, if they do not grow up, they are just weak and insignificant. However, the power of the clone Gu is indeed infinitely useful. I can stay at home and cultivate while my clone can wander around. Even if it dies, I can always condense another one at any time, and it can't affect my main body. If coupled with the power of the Dream Soul Gu, it would indeed be unstoppable. Zhou Sui stroked his chin. He was now starting to understand how to cultivate the Insect God Sutra. The combination of Gu and Gu is extremely important, and sometimes it can have an effect greater than the sum of its parts. Husband, why are you looking so happy? Ji Binjiu and Mu Ziyi both noticed Zhou Sui's expression and asked curiously. Nothing, I figured out some problems. Let's do it again to celebrate. Zhou Sui replied nonchalantly. What? Hearing these words, both Ji Binjiu and Mu Ziyi blushed, sighing in their hearts that their husband was truly a tireless bull, too vigorous. The night passed in a flash. At this time, there was a commotion outside, and a group of cultivator neighbors began to flock to the streets. At this moment, Zhou Sui, Ji Binjiu, Mu Ziyi, and Xia Jinjian, among others, woke up and heard the noise outside. Have you heard? Last night the Misty Cloud Trio came here with ill intentions and met their dreadful end. What? Misty Cloud Trio? The infamous band of thieves? I heard they were late Qi cultivation cultivators, notorious killers, with numerous cultivators dead at their hands. Who could have the power to kill them? I don't know, no one knows who did it. It seems that the Misty Cloud Trio were killed by a mysterious person before they could even react. It's terrifying. It just goes to show, those who do evil can't escape retribution. Those three thieves have been bullying others for far too long. Maybe they were the ones who killed that Daoist Bai family. They've finally met their fate. Honestly, could it be possible that one of our fellow cultivators on this street did it? Impossible. Only those few late-stage Qi cultivation female cultivators can deal with the Misty Cloud Trio. So if it wasn't those three female cultivators who did it, who on earth did it? This is really strange. I think this might be a case of dog eat dog. Who knows how many treasures those thieves had accumulated? They were eyeing us loose cultivators, but couldn't other people eye them as well? Indeed, each of those thieves must have had vast fortunes. Robbing us loose cultivators isn't as profitable as robbing those thieves, the rewards would certainly be greater. If that's the case, is it finally safe for us now that the Misty Cloud Trio are dead? Naive. Do you think the Misty Cloud Trio were the only thieves out there? There are still many more. You're absolutely right. We still can't let our guard down unless the law enforcement team returns. We can't leave, otherwise, those thieves will pick us off one by one. Just endure for a bit longer. It's better than losing our lives. The cultivators were all talking, and they were all excited because the death of the Misty Cloud Trio had lifted some of the pressures off their heads, making them feel much safer. However, they were not 100% safe. After all, who knows how many thieves were hiding in Misty Cloud City? If they weren't careful, they might still fall into their hands. In short, they would not let their guard down. Husband, it seems that some thieves died here last night. Ji Binjiu heard the noise coming from outside too. Isn't that a good thing? If you often walk by the river, you might occasionally get your shoes wet. They want to rob other loose cultivators, while other cultivators might want to rob them as well. It's just the natural cycle. Xia Jinjian thought this was only to be expected. She had long gotten used to things like this. You're right. Those cultivators think that robbing others is a shortcut, but they don't realize it is precisely this habit that kills them. Maybe they can get away with it once or twice, and even gain a lot. But all it takes is one misstep, and it's a dead end. Doing this kind of thing always ends in one's own downfall. Zhou Sui also nodded seriously. Honestly, he had been wary of walking down this path himself. If he got used to robbery, he would sooner or later end in disaster, and he wouldn't even know how he died. It's still better to stay in Misty Cloud City and sell spiritual wine and spirit talismans. This lets us earn spirit stones without any risk. Mu Ziyi reflected on this. She felt that these few months had been the most peaceful and happy times. There was no need to live on the streets, nor to worry about being killed and robbed by someone else. As long as they stayed home, they could peacefully earn spirit stones and enhance their cultivation. There was no better life than this. Chapter 25, Phantasma Transformation Skill, a treasure from the robbing cultivator. After listening to all these gossips, Zhou Sui entered his own meditation room. He took out 3 storage bags from his body, all of which were obtained from the Misty Triad. After spending some time, he completely erased the imprints of the 3 storage bags. He then swept his spiritual sense over them and instantly sensed numerous items inside the bags. There are so many treasures. Zhou Sui's eyes widened in surprise. First were the cultivation techniques that the Misty Triad obtained, such as the Green Scripture, Golden Mechanism, Wind Charm Scripture, Earth Transcript, Water Source Mechanism, and others. All these basic Qi cultivation techniques were suitable only for Qi cultivation Nineth layer at best. In normal circumstances, each of these cultivation techniques could fetch 200 to 300 lower-grade spirit stones when sold. Besides these cultivation techniques, there were also numerous skills, such as the Protective Art, Ice Frost skill, Spring Wind Rain skill, Fireball technique, Wind Blade Art, Flying Sword Art, and others. In total, these cultivation techniques and skills amounted to over 100. Without a doubt, these were not items that the Misty Triad could have bought. They must have been obtained from the cultivators they have killed. Because the cultivators they've murdered were too numerous, the number of cultivation techniques and skills they've obtained increased over time. In a sense, they seem to have accumulated the wealth of an ordinary cultivator's clan. If these cultivation techniques and skills were sold, they would at least worth several thousand lower-grade spirit stones, or even tens of thousands, which is a considerable fortune. With these basic cultivation techniques, one could start an ordinary cultivation clan. There are so many pills and spirit stones. Zhou Sui continued to investigate. He found that there were 18 bottles of yellow dragon pills in the storage bags. Each bottle of yellow dragon pills was worth 500 lower-grade spirit stones. So, only the yellow dragon pills were worth 9,000 lower-grade spirit stones. In addition, there were Qi replenishing pills, detoxifying pills, true yuan pills, and other kinds of pills, also worth several thousand lower-grade spirit stones. However, there weren't many spirit stones, at most a few hundred lower-grade spirit stones. Most likely, the spirit stones had been used to refine pills. Even so, one can see just how rich the Misty Triad's assets were. They were just cultivators of the Qi cultivation 7th layer. Normally, they wouldn't have so many spirit stones and pills. Their assets would at the most amount to a few thousand lower-grade spirit stones. However, the combined wealth of these 3 cultivators was worth 20 to 30,000 lower-grade spirit stones. It was evident how many solitary cultivators the Misty Triad had accosted and how they had profited from their murderous acts. Killing them countless more times would not be too harsh a punishment. No wonder so many people choose to become robbers, the money comes so fast. Zhou Sui exclaimed in surprise. But the risk of being a robber was also great. If one was not careful, they would encounter an insurmountable obstacle and be killed. All the years of accumulation would be ruined in an instant. This was the case with the Misty Triad. They rampaged for over 10 years only to encounter me, him, Zhou Sui, and their lives were completely wiped out. This was the end of those who chose to be robbers. They might win a few times, but they were bound to die sooner or later. It was similar to gamblers who might win sometimes, but the end result was always losing. To become robbers, they are indeed well prepared. Zhou Sui twitched the corner of his mouth. He also saw in the storage bags items used to destroy corpses and tracks, such as corpse-dissolving powder, which could stun other cultivators, soul-breaking smoke, and even 5 poison water that poisoned the person upon contact. In short, to kill their enemies, they used everything they could. Luckily, he killed the Misty Triad from a distance. If he had approached them, he might have been killed by their numerous tricks. Indeed, ranged attacks are reliable. Who would go hand-to-hand with you? Seeing these vicious methods, Zhou Sui was horrified. Every robber was sophisticated. Nobody knew how many hidden backup plans they had. However, no matter how many backup plans they had, they were still no match for the power of the Dream Soul Gu. They were killed instantly before they could use their tricks. From this perspective, it was a case of one object downing another. But the most valuable should be the secret manual. At this moment, Zhou Sui noticed one of the secret manuals. His gaze fell on a manual, the cover of which bore the title Phantasma Transformation Skill. Undoubtedly, this was a top-tier auxiliary demonic path cultivation technique. He carefully read through it and found that this technique could transform his appearance and physique into something completely different. If practiced to a higher level, it could even hide his cultivation level, change his breath, and completely transform him into another person. How did the Misty Triad manage to run rampant for over 10 years without being killed by other cultivators? The most important reason was this demonic path cultivation technique, aside from their careful behavior. In the past, the Misty Triad was just low-profile solitary cultivators. Then, by chance, they happened upon the remains of a demonic path cultivator's cave, which had existed for hundreds of years. The result was that they found this demonic path technique, the phantasma transformation skill, in that cave. With this technique, they could transform themselves into different people and change their aura. Even when Misty Cloud City had put a bounty on them, they could still brazenly enter the city, with no one able to identify them. If Zhou Sui hadn't interfered this time and killed them instantly, they might have been able to run rampant for decades more. If I could cultivate this method, in combination with my clone goo, wouldn't that add wings to a tiger? If the clone transforms into another person to sell the spiritual wine, no one could trace it back to me. Zhou Sui's eyes brightened, and he was excited at the thought. He felt that acquiring this method was literally a divine gift. He was indeed lucky. With this in mind, he immediately tried to cultivate the techniques without any hesitation. After 6 hours. Damn it, why can't I learn this bullshit technique? Zhou Sui clenched his fist, grinding his teeth. Though he had acquired the technique, he found that no matter what he did, he couldn't grasp it. Clearly, learning this method was not as easy as he had thought. The Misty Triad of old also spent over 10 years to barely understand this technique. As for him, he harbored the foolish dream of mastering this technique in a short period, which was ridiculous. Indeed, I'm no genius, just an ordinary person. Zhou Sui was frustrated. He had initially thought that after acquiring the 8th stage spiritual root, his perception and cultivation aptitude would improve significantly, making it possible for him to master various cultivation techniques and skills on his own. But now, he realized he had overestimated his spiritual root aptitude. Even as an 8th-stage spiritual root, he was still low-grade, a bottom-rung cultivator. It wasn't worth mentioning at all. Chapter 26, Materials for Bookworm Refining, Infinite Library. Is there a way to enhance my comprehension? At this moment, Zhou Sui looked at the goo divine bowl, thinking that perhaps this treasure might provide a solution. Swoosh! In an instant, the goo divine bowl seemingly sensed his thoughts and vibrated slightly. Instantly, a surge of information plunged into the depths of his sea of consciousness. Wait, craft the bookworm? The bookworm can help me with my comprehension. Zhou Sui narrowed his eyes. The so-called bookworm is an exotic heavenly earth goo worm, animated by books, capable of ingesting countless ones, including heritage jade records. Once it digests a book, it can instantly record every detail and will never forget, becoming a vast library after consuming enough books. Its capacity for memory is infinite, and the more books it consumes, the more potent it becomes. Most importantly, it can assist the host in understanding the content of the books. It is like a cultivation assistant that helps enhance wisdom and speed up comprehension. Such a goo worm actually exists in this world? I must craft this. Zhou Sui was very excited. If he could successfully craft this worm, all kinds of cultivation techniques and skills would no longer cause him much trouble, making it easy to grasp them. He couldn't estimate how much cultivation time he'd save by then. The main ingredient is the wood pest, a spiritual critter that eats wood, and there are 36 other ingredients. It seems like it is time to purchase some materials. Zhou Sui rubbed his chin. Fortunately, he's in Misty Cloud City, close to the Cloud Mist mountain range known for a variety of spiritual materials. As long as you have spirit stones, you can virtually purchase any material you need. After all, once the bookworm is crafted, his cultivation will be significantly easier. So, this task is a must. Boom! In an instant, Zhou Sui sat cross-legged on the ground, operating the clone goo, and a clone was formed. This clone is almost identical to his original body, the only difference is his slightly lower cultivation. He planned to use this clone to purchase the materials needed to craft the bookworm. Although rogues wouldn't dare to act in broad daylight in Misty Cloud City, it's always better to be careful. If the clone went shopping, even if danger was to occur, it would not harm his original body, at worst, he would lose some insignificant valuables. Until his cultivation becomes unstoppable, he would never be careless. Swoosh! The clone of Zhou Sui left the mansion, heading to the main road of Misty Cloud City. The journey went smoothly. There weren't many cultivators on the road, perhaps because the recent security status of Misty Cloud City was rather severe, making cultivators uncomfortable to idle around. He arrived at the pill medicine pavilion in Misty Cloud City without any problem and saw the shopkeeper Zhou. "Oh! Isn't this little Zhou? Haven't seen you for a while, your cultivation has improved a lot. You seem to have reached the Qi cultivation 4th layer." Shopkeeper Zhou praised with surprise as he quickly noticed Zhou Sui's improvement in cultivation. "What?" Zhou Sui was startled. He hadn't expected his improvement in cultivation to be perceived so quickly. Although this was just his clone, the cultivation level was similar to his actual body. It seems that he needs to establish phantasma transformation skill sooner, or else any cultivator could see through him. What kind of privacy could he have then? More importantly, if people realize that his cultivation is progressing too fast, others might sense something wrong. If his partner knew about his situation, it wouldn't matter. But what about those unscrupulous cultivators? They might covet his treasures and try to kill him. "Shopkeeper Zhou, you are too kind. It is all thanks to my partner's help. Without her, there is no way my cultivation could have progressed this quickly." Zhou Sui replied with a slight smile, giving all the credit to his partner. A partner? Hearing this, shopkeeper Zhou immediately remembered Zhou Sui's partner, a late Qi cultivation practitioner. With the assistance of such a cultivator, using loads of pills to reach the Qi cultivation 4th layer in a short time was no surprise. It was simply a matter of having enough spirit stones. At this thought, he felt a surge of jealousy. How was it that this ordinary guy had the favor of such an advanced female cultivator? His ancestors must have been pious for him to be this lucky. What exactly did he have? Could it be that this young man could charm female cultivators so easily? Nevertheless, he managed to keep a straight face. "I see. What brought you here today?" Shopkeeper Zhou asked. "I am looking for a pest that specifically eats wood, do you have it?" Zhou Sui straightforwardly asked. "Wood pest? You must be referring to the wood aphid. It's one of the main ingredients in the wood spirit pill. Fortunately, I have it in stock. However, it costs 500 lower grade spiritual stones." Shopkeeper Zhou pondered for a moment before quoting a price. "I'll take it." Zhou Sui instantly agreed. It was just 500 lower grade spiritual stones, nothing to be concerned about. Crafting the bookworm would make it all worthwhile. "Looks like you, little Zhou, have really made some good money, being able to shell out so many spirit stones." The jealousy welling up inside shopkeeper Zhou was palpable. He didn't believe Zhou Sui earned all these spirit stones. It must be the female late Qi cultivation practitioner. How did this young man manage to please such a beauty? She generously gifted him such an amount of spirit stones to spend. Had he known what a life of luxury this was, he would have done the same. Regrettably, he was getting old, his body was not what it used to be, and probably no female cultivator would lay her eyes on him. No, I've spent all I had. Truly. I have nothing left. By the way, besides the wood aphid, I need other materials as well. Please sell them to me." Zhou Sui replied modestly and continued to purchase more items. Hearing this, both shopkeeper Zhou and the nearby pavilion attendants turned green with envy. How rich was this guy who claimed to be flat broke and yet bought so many spiritual materials? Without a doubt, that was money from the mature female cultivator. Otherwise, how could he have so many spirit stones? This ordinary-looking young man had found a sugar mama and was now acting so arrogantly. He could spend hundreds of lower-grade spiritual stones without blinking an eye. This was nothing less than arrogance. The attendants gritted their teeth around him, feeling envious. However, they couldn't do anything. They just carried on with their duties, finding materials for Zhou Sui. After all, he was moneyed, and he was their customer. He was king. Chapter 27 Gu Insect that devours books, increasing understanding. In no time, shopkeeper Zhou handed over all the materials to Zhou Sui. Not bad. After obtaining these materials, Zhou Sui immediately breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that all the materials for refining the bookworm were completely collected. By the way, shopkeeper Zhou, how is the immortal mist sect's advance into the Cloud Fog Mountains going? Smoothly. Thinking of this, Zhou Sui immediately asked for information. After all, the fate of the immortal mist sect was tied to the future of Misty Cloud City, which would determine whether the city would be turbulent in the future. Being a resident of Misty Cloud City, he naturally cared a lot about this matter. And shopkeeper Zhao, being the manager of the pill medicine pavilion, should be well informed. Well, it's going exceptionally well, you don't have to worry about anything. Shopkeeper Zhao smiled slightly. After all, the immortal mist sect is determined to win this time. They have sent several major cultivators in the Foundation establishment realm, so there's a very slim chance of failure. Misty Cloud City will soon return to its previous tranquility, there won't be any problems. I see, that's great. Upon hearing this, Zhou Sui was immediately put at ease. After all, he's doing just fine in Misty Cloud City, he is able to practice until he reaches the Foundation establishment realm. He didn't want to abandon this safe haven because of potential dangers. If it were somewhere else, there might not be as safe as Misty Cloud City, nor have such abundant cultivation resources. Whoosh! Having said that, Zhou Sui bade farewell to shopkeeper Zhao and walked home. At this time, several clerks in the pill medicine pavilion unveiled cruel eyes, as if harboring malicious intentions, wanting to follow Zhou Sui. You better not provoke this kid. Behind him is a female cultivator at the 9th layer of Qi cultivation. If he dies, do you think she won't be angry? Besides, he is her man and is pampered. Who knows what life-saving items he might have? If you don't want to die, better not act rashly. Shopkeeper Zhao said casually. Hearing this, the faces of the clerks immediately stiffened. They had thought that Zhou Sui might have a fortune of thousands of lower-grade spiritual stones on him, so they wanted to quietly follow him and rob him. After all, for them, this was a huge fortune, it was hard not to be tempted. Misty Cloud City was in turmoil at the moment, without any law enforcement teams. Even if they killed Zhou Sui, no one could do anything to them. However, hearing what shopkeeper Zhao said, they immediately calmed down. Because behind this kid was a female cultivator at the 9th layer of Qi cultivation, whose strength wasn't ordinary and she had a deep background. Even if they wanted to take action, they might not necessarily succeed. Boss, you're joking, we're all good people, how could we do such a thing as committing robbery? One of the clerks chuckled awkwardly, dispelling the idea of robbing and killing Zhou Sui. It wasn't that he didn't want to, but rather he didn't have the confidence to succeed. Moreover, it seemed that shopkeeper Zhao was also intent on protecting Zhou Sui, so he was even less daring to act. That's good. Shopkeeper Zhao smiled slightly, not saying much. He did have a certain liking for Zhou Sui, after all, they had known each other for more than a decade. It was nothing to just say a few words in his defense. At this time, Zhou Sui's clone returned home safely. No other cultivators attacked him along the way. He also handed over all the materials to his main body. Just going out to buy something even stirred up such malice. Wealth should not be exposed, it shouldn't be exposed. Sensing the message transmitted by his clone, Zhou Sui clenched his fists. He was keenly aware of the killing intent and greed from the pill medicine pavilion clerks. It was clear that they were coveting the spirit stones he had and wanted to kill and loot. He never thought that going to a regular store to buy spiritual materials would attract the attention of other cultivators. The danger of the cultivation world was evident. If one had wealth surpassing their own strength level, it was tantamount to courting death. The fact that he had been hiding at home practicing without going out for adventures seemed to be the right decision after all. At the beginning, when he was just a cultivator at the 1st layer of Qi cultivation, if he had revealed the large amount of spirit stones he possessed, he would have been assassinated by other envious cultivators and wouldn't have been able to live till today. Even the clerks in regular stores could switch identities at any time and kill for loot. Such acts pose no psychological barrier for cultivators. Of course, according to his current cultivation status, if those clerks dared to rob him, they would certainly be the ones to die. From this perspective, it's hard to say who's luckier. My current strength is still too weak. I must continue to enhance my cultivation, preferably to the late Qi cultivation stage, even to the foundation establishment stage, to have the ability to protect myself. Thinking of this, Zhou Sui felt an urgent sense of pressure. Whirl! In an instant, he dumped all the materials into the Gu Divine Bowl, then burned thousands of lower-grade spiritual stones, causing all these materials to be refined and turned into a chaotic air current. After an unknown length of time, countless materials melted and then nurtured a mysterious white goo insect with dense and mysterious runes appearing on its body. Boom! The next second, this white goo insect instantly burrowed into the depths of his brain, merging with his brain. Then a flood of information gushed into his mind. The bookworm, it's a heavenly earth goo worm known for devouring books. It loves to swallow all kinds of books and heritage jade records. Any book eaten by it will be recorded and never forgotten. If it could devour all the books in the world, then it would be the world's largest library, recording all the knowledge in the world. To own it is to own all the riches in the world. It's done, let's try the effect of this bookworm. Seeing the appearance of this white goo insect, Zhou Sui was delighted. Without any hesitation, he took out a secret book from his body, the Phantasma Transformation Skill. Crack, crack. Immediately, this white goo insect came out, as if it had smelled a delicious meal, it instantly pounced on the book. In no time, it consumed the entirety of the secret book. What? In a moment, Zhou Sui was shocked as he felt the text of the Phantasma Transformation Skill was instantly imprinted into his brain, achieving an unforgettable level. What was even more amazing was that a grey airflow emerged from the bookworm, pouring into the depths of his sea of consciousness. At that moment, he felt that his comprehension skill had experienced an unprecedented upgrade, as if he had transitioned from an ordinary person to a genius. A cultivation technique which would have taken him a lot of time to comprehend was instantly mastered. It felt as though he had practiced this technique for 20 years, with a huge amount of information pouring into his mind. The many mysteries of the Phantasma Transformation Skill were unveiled. This feeling was incredibly satisfying. For the first time, he experienced what it was like to have the comprehension skill of a genius. If he hadn't the help of the bookworm, it would have taken him at least 10 years to grasp the basics of this technique. Chapter 28, Encyclopedia of the Cultivation World, Virtual Panel. Boom. The next second, Zhou Sui had a sense of stirring in his mind, only to find that there was a virtual panel that suddenly appeared in front of his eyes, a virtual panel that only he could see. Host, Zhou Sui, Cultivation, Qi Cultivation 4th Layer Progress 35%, Lifespan, 18 out of 120 years. Aptitude, 8 Stage Spiritual Root 25%. Swordsmanship, Mid 1st Grade 55%. Runes, Lower 1st Grade 84%. Phantasma Transformation Skill, Beginner 30%. Suddenly, a series of messages appeared in front of Zhou Sui. Is this the power of the bookworm? Zhou Sui was stunned to see this virtual panel. He instantly realized that this was one of the abilities of the bookworm. It can databasize the abilities that the host possesses, giving the host an intuitive understanding of his abilities. It should be known that all the cultivators in this world don't know to what extent they have mastered their knowledge, they only have a vague feeling. But the power of the bookworm can present the abilities it possesses in a data-driven form. This also allows the cultivator to better understand himself. As you can imagine, such ability is so amazing, it has a great enhancement effect on the cultivator himself. And this kind of skill also has a hierarchical division, which are beginner, proficient, expert, minor accomplishment, great achievement, grandmaster, etc. The higher the level, the more powerful the power it exerts. I actually reached the mid-first grade level in swordsmanship? And lower first grade in runes? When did this happen? I don't seem to have studied much. Oh, dual cultivation, when I was dual cultivating with my cultivator companion, I gained knowledge from her. I didn't expect that, without realizing it, I had mastered so many skills. The power of the grey current is to help me increase my comprehension. This is one of the abilities of the bookworm. The more books I devour and the more valuable they are, the more comprehension I gain. Zhou Sui touched his chin as he had the first clear perception of possessing so many skills. Apparently, he was no longer a bottom-level cultivator. At this moment, he also learned about how amazing the bookworm is. To a certain extent, it is the most comprehensive auxiliary-type goo insect. It can learn all kinds of skills by devouring books. Such as devouring rune books will allow the learning of the knowledge about runes. Devouring skill books will enable to learn various skills. Devouring alchemy books will help to learn various alchemy techniques. In a word, the bookworm is a wonderful goo insect that can learn quickly by devouring various books. Even while devouring these books, the bookworm can also devour the unique aura left by these books. These unique auras will then be converted into comprehension, thus making the host to increase their comprehension for a short period, helping the host to have a photographic memory and increased reasoning ability, so that the host's learning efficiency is increased tenfold, or even 100-fold. In other words, he needs to help the bookworm find all kinds of books to help it grow quickly. There is such a wonderful goo insect in the world. After having this bookworm, I don't need to work hard on cultivation. By using the power of the bookworm, I devour these books, then it seems as though I have learned everything. Zhou Sui was extremely excited. Without a doubt, after cultivating the bookworm, his learning ability has greatly improved. Ordinary people need decades, or even hundreds of years, to cultivate a skill. But he only needs to eat this book and it's done. The efficiency has improved by God knows how many times. Ordinary cultivators can only specialize in one skill, but he can master hundreds of skills and become a versatile genius. As long as he collects enough books, he can become an encyclopedia of the cultivation world. Thinking of this, Zhou Sui didn't hesitate and immediately took out many books and jade slips from him. These were all obtained from the bodies of the 3 killers of the misty clouds, and now he gave them all to the bookworm. Crack, crack. After sensing the smell of books, the bookworm was very excited. It was like smelling delicious food, so it immediately pounced on these books. Immediately, one book after another quickly became its possessions. He also felt a large amount of information rushing in his sea of consciousness. It was as if it was ingrained into his soul, and as if he had been proficient in this book for decades. This feeling is incredibly surreal. Hey, just ate 3 books and it's full. At this time, Zhou Sui blinked his eyes. He had thought that the bookworm could eat all these books at once, but after only eating 3 books, it burped, indicating that it could eat no more. Obviously, the newborn bookworm can only digest a limited number of books a day. It won't be until the bookworm grows further that it can devour a large number of books at once. But that is enough, for the time being, he doesn't lack time and the remaining books can be eaten slowly. He also sensed that after eating 3 books, the bookworm had accumulated a part of the grey current on its body. He can use these grey currents to increase his comprehension. Using the sudden increase in comprehension for a short time, he can also use it to improve some skill on his body. Right, I can improve the phantasma transformation skill, at least to the realm of minor accomplishment. Zhou Sui narrowed his eyes. According to the records in the book, if you can reach the beginner level, you can deceive ordinary chi refiners. If you can reach the proficient level, even cultivators in the late stage of chi cultivation cannot discern you. If you can reach the expert level, even foundation establishment cultivators cannot discover your traces. If you can reach the grandmaster level, or even the realm of transformation, then no matter how strong the cultivator, they cannot perceive your current condition. Even in the demonic sect, this technique is quite a top assistive technique, created by a great demon for the purpose of cultivating spies. Once successfully cultivated, the disciples of the demonic path can disguise themselves as disciples of the righteous sects and lurk into the righteous sects as spies. It is because of this reason, he must first enhance this technique. If successful, when his clone goes out, no one will be able to perceive his cultivation. He can even pretend to be chi refiners at different levels, thereby confusing the opponent and keeping the enemy unaware of his own bottom line. Swish, swish. In an instant, Zhou Sui made a move, immediately urging the grey current from the bookworm's body, making the mysterious grey current enter the depths of his soul. At this moment, he perceived that his comprehension seemed to have increased tenfold, or even dozens of times. What was originally arduous and difficult to understand, the phantasma transformation skill, now seemed as simple as kindergarten math. Beginner 30%, 40%, 50%, 60%. He perceived that his insights into this technique had risen geometrically and were about to reach a proficient level. Chapter 29, another half year passed, steadily increasing cultivation. Time, like flowing water, rolled on, and half a year had somehow elapsed in the blink of an eye. During this period, Zhou Sui led an immensely fulfilling life. Training, dual cultivating, training, dual cultivating. His life danced to this 2-beat rhythm, scheduling him full to the brim. However, this was a necessary evil. Being in the world of cultivation, there was little room for much entertainment, as when night fell, productivity dwindled to a halt. As for his daily training, it seemed rather negligible. Because for Zhou Sui, each day of strenuous training didn't arouse any feelings of aversion. He was in fact thoroughly motivated and engrossed, much like a top student immersed in studies. The appearance of such an occurrence benefited from the power of the bookworm, which allowed him to clearly witness his daily progress, even hinting at the direction he ought to pursue further. Therefore, he did not feel the least bit bored with his cultivation, but instead found it to be of immeasurable interest. Adding to this the perils of the cultivation world, he was filled with determination to constantly improve and become stronger. If, no matter how much he trained, he was unable to make any progress, then naturally, he would undoubtedly feel discouraged. Many lower-level cultivators relinquished their cultivation due to a prolonged period of setbacks. Boom! That day, after another session of dual cultivation, Zhou Sui, lounging with his 2 Dao companions, lazily opened his virtual panel. Host, Zhou Sui, Cultivation, Qi Cultivation 4th Layer, Progress 99%, Lifespan, 120 years. Aptitude, 8-stage Spiritual Root, 55%. Swordsmanship, 1st Grade Superior, 35%. Rune, Mid 1st Grade, 44%. Phantasma Transformation Skill, Proficient, 25%. Fireball Technique, Proficient, 55%, Wind Blade Art, Amateur, Golden Light Skill, Amateur, Ice Frost Skill, Amateur, Spring Wind Rain Skill, Amateur. Obsession Gu, 1st Grade Superior, Dream Soul Gu, 1st Grade Superior, Wine Bug, Mid 1st Grade, Clone Gu, Mid 1st Grade, Bookworm, Mid 1st Grade. In an instant, he found his data panel to be incredibly impressive. In just a span of half a year, he had acquired dozens of skills. Even though it was at an amateur level, the sheer quantity came as a considerable astonishment. Of course, this was all made possible due to the power of the bookworm. Only after it had devoured a mass of cultivation technique manuals, could he reach the introductory level. If he wanted to deepen his understanding of these skills, he needed to practice diligently. However, even though this was the case, it saved him a considerable amount of time. He did not need to spend an extended period understanding the skill, just consuming these books allowed him to instantly learn them. So during these 6 months, he had spent a large number of spirit stones to purchase a variety of manuals and books. However, due to the stringent regulations and restrictions on high-level cultivation techniques and skills in this world, having spirit stones would not necessarily guarantee access to a large number of manuals. But even so, the manuals he gained in the past 6 months allowed the bookworm to evolve impressively, gaining a massive amount of grey aura and prolonging his comprehension time. Therefore, the cultivation technique to which Zhou Sui paid the utmost importance, the Phantasma Transformation skill, also reached the proficiency level. Remember how the former Misty Cloud Trio, despite practicing for 20 years, could only manage to reach intermediate level with this skill? As for reaching the proficient level, it was an impossible task in a lifetime. But now, in just half a year, he had practiced this skill to proficiency level. If the demonic sect learned about this, they'd surely capture Zhou Sui and take him as an apprentice. Such a God-given, highly talented individual was a born successor to the demonic path. Once he reached the proficient level, he discovered the finesse of this skill. It allowed him to manipulate his body's muscles, bones, etc., and transform into another person's appearance. Simultaneously, he could also conceal and modify the aura on his body. Even Foundation Establishment Realm cultivators would be unable to see through his current level of cultivation or track down his location based on the aura. As long as he was willing, he could effortlessly change into another person, and even those who are in close contact with him would probably fail to detect what was going on. This was what made the Phantasma Transformation skill exceptional. It was certainly out of the ordinary. The rapid progress in swordsmanship and runes was, of course, massively due to his 2 Dao companions. Even if Zhou Sui did not study these contents in depth, his comprehension of swordsmanship and runes was still improving continuously. The power of the Guworms has also increased. Zhou Sui narrowed his eyes. For him, the power of the Guworms was the mainstay. Therefore, increasing the power of Guworms was his top priority, as it was closely related to his cultivation. If his cultivation level improved, it would also lead to a boost in the power of the Guworms. However, no matter how you look at it, after half a year of effort, the 5 Guworms he owned had advanced, 2 reached the 1st grade superior realm, and 3 made it to mid 1st grade realm. The so-called 1st grade superior was equivalent to late Qi cultivation. If it managed to reach the 2nd stage, it would be comparable to a Foundation Establishment Realm cultivator. The improvement in the power of the Guworms would provide significant assistance to the host, they complemented each other. The cultivation of the Obsession Gu improved rapidly due to the nurturing of love. As for the Dream Soul Gu, it naturally benefited from Zhou Sui's naturally superior soul power, allowing it to evolve quickly, outpacing the other Guworms. Husband, what's up? Ji Binjiu, the long-legged matron, lounged alongside Zhou Sui. Seeing a joyful look appear on Zhou Sui's face, she asked out of curiosity. Nothing, I just feel that my cultivation has improved and it seems I am about to advance to the Qi cultivation 5th layer soon. Zhou Sui replied with a slight smile. After all, according to the data displayed on the virtual panel, he was merely a step away from the Qi cultivation 5th layer. Husband, are you about to advance to the Qi cultivation 5th layer so soon? Your rate of progress is extremely quick. As expected of our genius husband. Upon hearing this, Muzii looked at Zhou Sui with admiration in her eyes. Just a year ago, Zhou Sui was a fledgling cultivator at the first layer of Qi cultivation, but now, in such a short span of time, he quickly advanced towards the Qi cultivation 5th layer. This rate of progression was incredibly quick. Perhaps even the cultivation speed of a top-grade spiritual root cultivator might not be any better. By the way, how is your cultivation of the phantasma transformation skill, which I taught you, coming along? Zhou Sui asked. In fact, he taught this handy demonic skill to his wives as well. After all, this would undoubtedly be of great help to them. Chapter 30, Advancing to Qi Cultivation 5th Layer. Thus, Zhou Sui did not hesitate in imparting the top-tier demonic art skill to Ji Binjiu, Muzii, and Xia Jinjian, hoping they would also reap significant benefits from it. Upon hearing this, Muzii immediately frowned in dissatisfaction. Husband, the difficulty of practicing this technique is really too high. Even after half a year of cultivation, I've only just started to grasp its basics. Her expression was as if she were a mediocre student struggling with calculus, filled with visible torment. Just mastering the essential aspects of this technique had required her full efforts. Yes, the levels of this technique are very high. Without years of cultivation, it's impossible to reach a proficient level. But indeed, this technique has an unlimited range of applications. Now others can hardly see through our cultivation level unless it's a foundation-building cultivator making a move. I still can't figure out where our husband got this technique from though. Ji Binjiu commented with emotion. The more she cultivated this technique, the more she realized its profound essence. Even the Geng Gold Sword secret from her Ji family might not compare to it. Moreover, if marked by a real danger, she could leverage this technique to change her appearance, making it almost impossible for enemies to locate her. Passed down from ancestors, all these techniques are ancestral lessons. Since all of you have started learning it, the next step is consistent cultivation. There's no need to be impatient. Zhou Sui responded with a slight smirk, without any intention to explain further. Several days later. In the quiet room, after several days of arduous cultivation, Zhou Sui felt his true Yuan strength continually ascending within him, almost reaching the pinnacle of the Qi cultivation 4th layer. Led by an inexplicable impulse, he felt that now was the perfect moment for a breakthrough. This was the so-called seizing of the opportunity. Swish! At that moment, he picked up a pot of spiritual wine and gulped it down, producing a gurgling sound. Given that he found the effect of spiritual wine to be more beneficial than pills, and without the side effect of poisoning, this pot of spiritual wine, filled with energy, could assist him in crossing this particular hurdle in one stroke. Straight away, he swallowed the spiritual wine. A surge of pure spiritual energy immediately flushed into his body, permeating every corner of his physique. Zhou Sui promptly activated the Insect God Sutra, guiding these streams of spiritual energy to circulate throughout his entire body, completing loop after loop of energy flow. The Obsession Gu, Dream Soul Gu, Wine Bug, Clone Gu, and Bookworm, the 5 Gu insects dwelling within his heart, brain, stomach, etc. were also enmeshed in intense breathing, greedily inhaling the spiritual energy between heaven and earth. Just like individual Danshan Qi seas, these insects devoured a massive amount of energy, rapidly enlarging their forms. Is this the inherent mystery of the Insect God Sutra? Indeed, its profundity is boundless. Zhou Sui was extremely excited. He felt his connection to the 5 Gu insects within him becoming even closer, as if they had combined into one entity. It seemed as if the Gu insects had become an integral part of his body. He gradually began to perceive the superiority of the Insect God Sutra. This technique enabled him to control Gu insects, manipulate them, and even merge with them. His cultivation of Gu insects was equivalent to the cultivation of his true self. Without a doubt, the more Gu insects he controlled, the greater his power became. He could even leverage their power to boost his cultivation swiftly. Among conventional cultivators, true Yuan could only be stored in meridians and the Danshan Qi Sea. In contrast, those cultivating the Insect God Sutra could store their true yuan and spiritual energy within gu insects. Each gu insect was akin to an individual Danshan Qi Si. This allowed the true yuan strength within his body to be multiplier times stronger than that of same-level cultivators. It was simply incomparable. Swish! As Zhou Sui quietly comprehended the profound truth of the Insect God Sutra, the 5 gu insects seemed to form a perfect spiritual energy cycle, causing streams of massive spiritual energy to revolve ceaselessly within his body. His aura also rapidly surged outward. After conducting 108 rounds of energy circulation, the spiritual energy within his body had almost reached a peak. Boom! The next moment, Zhou Sui felt a resonance between his soul and his physical form. The massive spiritual energy instantly bulldozed through a bottleneck within his body, linking one of his meridians. This felt as natural as water flowing through carved channels without any resistance. Qi Cultivation 5th Layer. Undoubtedly, after half a year of arduous cultivation, assisted by the spiritual wine, Zhou Sui finally managed to break past a minor bottleneck, thereby enhancing his cultivation to the Qi Cultivation 5th Layer. At that moment, he felt a third more true yuan strength compared to what he had previously possessed. Simultaneously, his muscles, meridians, bones, skin, and internal organs were all refined under the force of vast spiritual energy, catapulting his physical strength to an advanced level. Upon elevation to the Qi Cultivation 5th Layer, his strength had soared to more than twice of his previous state. Swish! A substantial surge of true yuan strength flowed continuously within his body, and his aura steadily climbed. The floor beneath him had even cracked, resembling a spider's web. Achievement! At that moment, Zhou Sui opened his eyes, revealing a jubilant expression. Ji Binjiu and Mu Ziai, who were waiting outside the quiet room, also sensed Zhou Sui's aura. They exchanged looks, feeling incredibly excited. Success! Our husband has indeed successfully advanced to the Qi Cultivation 5th Layer. Only a little over a year has passed. He exceptionally shot up from the first layer of Qi cultivation to the 5th, with a cultivation speed that is far beyond imagination. Indeed, it's very quick. Even the legendary top-class spiritual roots are no different. If he continues cultivating at this rapid pace, there's a chance that his cultivation level might surpass ours. Ji Binjiu and Mu Ziai were excessively excited, and their hearts filled with emotion. Having lived with Zhou Sui continuously, they were well aware of his sensational cultivation speed. Without ever leaving home or encountering extraordinary adventures through just sustained, intense cultivation he had reached this level. If this news were to spread, it would scare countless cultivators to death. If they hadn't witnessed it personally, they would never have believed such an absurd incident. With a click, a rejuvenated and elated Zhou Sui emerged from the quiet room, his face brimming with joy. After all, ascending to the Qi Cultivation 5th Layer meant he wasn't far from reaching the Qi Cultivation 9th Layer. Even his parents, at their prime, only managed to ascend to the 5th layer of Qi cultivation when they were well into their 40s. He was only 19 years old. Even in an illustrious sect like the Immortal Mist sect, advancing to the Qi cultivation 5th layer at his age could make him an inner sect disciple. He could even be considered deserving of becoming a true disciple.